Shalom, Sanmonani. My name is Mpumelelo. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you once more for your love and your continued support. I'm grateful for the love that we have shown, the support that we have shown for making this channel a success. I'm grateful that you are sharing this video. Please hit the like button and share it amongst your friends and family. If you are new to this video, please subscribe and like this video. Today I'm going to talk about something that is close to most of us. It is close to our hearts because it is either the first or the second. It has become either the first or the second belief. And to many, it is a dual practice. It is common among the Bantu people to have dual belief systems. In particular, what I'm talking about today is the beliefs in the spirits of the dead. A lot of people will say that we don't believe in the spirits of the dead. We don't worship ancestors. We revere and honor ancestors. But I think that we need to understand what worship is, what believing is. Once you believe that someone can bless your life, once you believe that someone can bring you luck, once you believe that someone who is not present anymore, someone who is gone, who has passed on, will protect you against harm, that person, that spirit has taken the place of God. They've replaced God. And we need to understand the God that we believe in, the God that we worship. If you understand anyone who is jealous, who is in a relationship and he's jealous, you multiply that by 10 or 100. God is a jealous God. God would not want anyone to believe in him and believe in anything else. He wants us to believe in him and in him alone. Now, I want us to make a connection between these beliefs that we say are African, are our traditions, and they are close to our hearts. Nobody among us can tell us where they come from, except to say that they've been passed on to us from one generation to the next. Do you know that at some point, Inkosi uShaka kaSenzangakhona, King Shaka, the son of Senzangakhona, grew skeptical of these traditional healers. He grew skeptical. He suspected that some of them are con men. He was a wise man, highly intelligent, and he became suspicious. Remember, during those days, if you were suspected of being a witch, you would be killed. It's death sentence. So King Shaka became very suspicious that these guys are not, some of them are con men. He called all of them. He laid a trap. He put blood in his crawl and all over the place, around his place where he stayed in his palace. And he called all of them. And he said, tell me who did this. And they did their thing. They jumped. It reminded me of the story of Elijah and the prophets of Jezebel. They hit their drums. They predicted. They made their predictions. And each and every one, as they made their predictions, he, put them aside until there were two left. And they were reluctant to speak, but they had to say something. And eventually they said, it's you. They got their predictions were right, and so he killed the rest of them. He couldn't trust them. How much more today when there's no vetting process of traditional healers. A lot of them are lying, including prophets who are in the churches, because there's no difference between these prophets and traditional healers. Because they are not prophets of God. They are not telling you anything about the message that comes from God. They are telling you about who is bewitching you in the church. So they are also making money. They are in the business of making money. And people will be offended by this. But I want us to talk about it openly. Don't throw eggs on my face. Be honest and tell us how this has helped you. A lot of us have gone through it, and some have stopped practicing these things. But these things are not new to us. Our forefathers, as far back as 3,000 years ago, not even in the land that we call Israel. By the way, some people have told me that Israel is not where you think it is. Israel is right here in Africa. I'm not going to scoff. They showed me a map which indicated that the land of the Jews is in Congo. An old map, 1800, I think. It shows that, you can Google it. I think that it is called Ioderum Terra. If you Google Ioderum Terra, my spelling could be wrong. It will show you that map, the land of the Jews, right here in Africa. So it could be that history is distorted. It is also possible that it was called the land of the Jews after those people who were called Jews had left Israel and settled there in big numbers. And so whoever made that discovery, when they drew that map, they said this is the land of the Jews because of the number of Jews that were found there. And by the way, the word Jew is supposed to mean from the tribe of Judah. But recently it is used loosely to refer to anyone who has any connection or who can prove lineage to the children of Israel. I don't think that this is the correct way of doing things because it blurs lines. You now don't know who is who. There was a reason why there were 12 tribes of Israel. They are not Jews. The Jews are people who are from the tribe of Judah. For that matter, the way the language is so loosely used, people in their writings, they say that they refer what is called the Hebrew scriptures, they refer them as Jewish scriptures. They refer the biblical holidays as Jewish holidays. They even go to an extent of saying that Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, and the children of Israel were Jews. They talk about the Jewish history. It's distortion. It blurs things. That's why people cannot immediately have a connection with this. Because when they look at these writings, it's the Jewish things. And therefore they are not Jewish, because those people who are saying it's Jewish this and Jewish that, and they are converting other people to Judaism, they are white in the majority, or pale, or whatever you want to call them. I have digressed. The business of the day is these things that have connection to Israel. Moses, on his last speech to the children of Israel, he warns people not to do practices that are found in the neighboring states, in the neighboring towns that were surrounding Israel or within the land of Canaan itself. He's warning them that you will find people who are prophets who will draw you to their practices. If you read Deuteronomy 13 and you read Deuteronomy 18, Moses talks about these things. Do not do these practices. If people want you to do things that your forefathers did not do, do not do them, because they are drawing you away from the Lord your God. Now we find in the history of Israel, the first king of Israel, King Saul, becomes the first person to go and consult, the first person at least that we know of, to go and consult the medium. Because when he prayed to God and wanted answers to God when he was surrounded by the Philistines after the death of Samuel the prophet, he found that God had turned his back against him. He tried to find answers from the Urim. The Urim were stones which were kept in the chests of the high priest, so they could consult God through using the Urim and the Thummim. He couldn't find answers. He went to other prophets that were there. They did not give him answers. So he went to raise the spirit of Samuel who was dead through a medium. The medium are these traditional healers that we have today. So we find a reference to the use of medium and the spiritists in the Bible. And these are the things Moses says, do not do. And people will defend themselves and say, these are our traditions. These were given to us by our forefathers. These were passed on to us. There are these spirits that are powerful, that draws people to them. But it is by choice. It is by choice. We can talk about it at some stage. It is by choice. But Moses is saying, don't do these things, because God is a jealous God. Only him must be worshipped. So what happened to King Saul? After consulting and he raised Samuel from the dead, Samuel told him that God does not recognize you anymore. You are going to die. And so he died. And after that, of course, after a period where the kingdoms were divided, we see King Jeroboam also doing the same thing, molding golden calves and encouraging people to return to these practices that are forbidden. And these practices were carried by our forefathers and passed on to us from one person to another, one generation to another. And they became our traditions and our beliefs. We don't realize that these are the things that isolates us from God. It is one of the reasons why we are cursed, because we are mixing these beliefs and at the same time we're mixing them with God. People consult the spirits of the dead, and after that they pray to God. It doesn't work. Listen to what Isaiah is saying. In Isaiah 8, verse 19, Isaiah says, and this happens, you will know this. This happens most of the time when you are in distress, when you have problems, and you feel like God is not answering your problems, your prayers. Quite often, when we are facing difficulties, we want answers quickly, and we feel like God is taking his time. So we go to an alternative. So someone will come to you when you are facing those difficulties and say, shouldn't you try something else? There's this expression that people have, God help those who help themselves. So it means take an initiative. Go out and consult, you'll find answers. And this is what Isaiah 8, verse 18 is saying. And when they say to you, seek those who are mediums and wizards, who whisper and mutter? Should not a people seek their God? Should not a people seek their God? Should they seek the dead on behalf of the living? Should they seek those who believe in God? Should they seek the dead on behalf of the living? Does it work? It doesn't work. God is a jealous God, and God wants us to be faithful to Him and be loyal to Him and Him alone. If we have these things mixed, we are going nowhere. But as Moses said, it is a choice. Choose life. And when you choose life, it's not about you. You are making it right for you and the generations that comes after you. Because if your choice is bad, it affects the generation that comes after you. Think about it. Think about it. Whatever, let's reflect on these things. We have had to adopt to these practices. We need to reflect and say, how long should we be in this state? How long do we want to, it's up to us. How long do we want this thing to continue? It is really up to us. If we want it to continue like this and affect the generations that come after us, it can just carry on. But at some point we can break this curse if we want to and obey the voice of our God. This is all I have for you today. Toda raba. Asante sana. Ngiyabonga.